Hello to the chicos and the chicas. It is the conclusion of the Champions Tour. As we discussed earlier, in the final, we saw Jan-Krzysztof Duda against Shahryar Mamedyarov. Mamed had a sensational tournament. I was actually really rooting for him in the final, but it wasn't to be. The Magnus Slayer Duda, who actually seems to have Magnus's numbers really well, just was too strong. Nonetheless, I chose a game where it was Mamedyarov coming out victorious, and the reason why I picked that one is because this is one that is really packed with dynamite. So let's have a look at this awesome game between Shaq and Duda. The opening is going to be the Vienna, and the Vienna is a very popular choice on top level with d takes c4. There are multiple openings that are called Vienna. There is one in e4 and there is one in d4. This is the d4 version of the Vienna. And after e4, usually black plays his c5. And after bishop takes c4, cd4, immense complications occur. In fact, it was seen between these two in the finals as well. For this game, however, Duda opted to play b5, another very sharp variation intending to keep the pawn at least for the time being. a4, c5, and now contesting the center. Very weird pawn structures occur usually from this variation. Often white gets the b5 one, and b double pawns will be featuring the position, and also now you can see that there is a broken pawn chain here as well. Now, about this trade, I need to mention something to you, and that is that after knight takes d4, h6 is meant to be quite good for black, because now the trade appears to be less optimal, although more on that in a second, whereas if I move the bishop away, then e4 hangs. So that's why the in-between bishop takes f6 is played. That being said, here queen takes f6, according to modern theory, is very drawish, and the black players who play it with black usually hold it to a draw without too many dramas, despite the fact that usually the c4 pawn is lost, but the two black bishops, in particular the dark squared one, is going to provide sufficient compensation for the material. Anyway, for some reason that is a little bit mysterious to me, Duda opted to play g takes f, leaving the queens on, and I'm pretty sure that that was great news for Mamedyarov, who of course loves to play attacking chess, and attacking chess it becomes very soon. Bishop b7, a very major mistake here. Bishop c5 was absolutely imperative for black in order to kick the knight, and then again opt for the queen trade, allowing Mamedyarov to keep the queens on with queen b3, virtually landed Duda in a dead lost position after move 12. And when I say dead lost, I mean on this level it is dead lost. It's +2, but the position is really ugly. After rook after rook d1, white would be up 3 points already. That is absolute insanity. The problem is that black can't really finish development properly. If knight d7, we have bishop takes e6, f e6, knight e6, queen c8, and now various kinds of knockouts are incoming. Knight g7 check followed by queen e6 is one of the many, and the white pieces are infiltrating black's camp, and there is no mercy for the black king. So this is really problematic for black. And so yeah, interestingly enough, Mamedyarov didn't actually opt for this rook d1 move, and instead immediately went for boomski with knight takes c6, but this is a little bit too soon, and actually it does have a, I wouldn't say refutation, but against this inaccurate move order, black had something quite effective. Let's have a look at what that exactly is. After fe bishop takes, black did play knight d7. However, after castles, the absolutely insane queenside castles was the way to save the day. And now if rook fc1 with the idea of creating a nasty pin, then king b8, walking out of it, and after knight a4 comes the counter strike, a really nice one. Bishop takes f2 check, king f2, and queen takes h2, and all of a sudden it appears that the white king is perhaps more exposed than its black counterpart, And the following variation with queen e3, queen h4, king g1, queen e4, queen e4, bishop e4 appears to be forced when I seriously doubt if white has enough advantage to convert into a victory. For the time being, the engine says 0.4, which I would deem to be perfectly insufficient for a win. Having said that, this variation is absolutely bonkers, and castling into multiple pins, including this, and having this open A file as well, must have felt to Duda like a big nay, thank you very much scenario. However, instead with rook d8, he sort of fell out of the frying pan right into the fire. Knight d5, a very powerful attacking move. Note how there is a theme here that I often talk about in my videos, and that is the fact that when we have got opposite colored bishops on the board, that almost always favors the attacker, who is, needless to say, here is white. And yes, I do know that there is an extra piece for black, but nonetheless, covering the very weak white squares and diagonals is proving to be quite an issue, as is for me to draw a proper arrow. Wow. Okay, so that, bring the queen here, bring the rook here, all of these are really nasty. I looked at a line with 95, but after rook c1, again, it is turning out to be an absolute pinfest. Now the e file is a problem, and white is eventually going to be able to play king h1 and f4. That being said, this would have been the lesser evil. Instead, Duda went with knight d5, queen e5, allowing both minor pieces to stay on the board. And that was just too much. Mamedyarov played king h1. Now f4 threats are on. And that is the cold shower-like realization, although I'm pretty sure that Duda saw this, that the bishop was in fact not hanging due to the fork on c7. And additionally to that, now we have got a super filthy plan by white, which is queen h3. And now the penetration comes from the king side. After a left jab comes a right hook, and yeah, chessboxing is on now, right? So queen h6 check is a major threat, but it's even better prepared by f4 first, when check, and then a mate is going to be more or less inevitable. So they played f5, but that again doesn't quite solve the problem. Queen h4 was the move, and now amazingly the d8 rook can't be protected. It feels like white just manages to point out a new problem in black's position every step of the way, and then one issue is fixed, it instead creates two brand new ones. Must have been an absolute nightmare for Duda to play this game. Yeah, so I just would like to demonstrate that if we play a pass, then after king here, f4, or even queen g7 here is brutally strong. And yeah, checkmates are incoming. I mean, the engine is so cheeky that after rook f8, it wants to play rook a8, rook takes a7, because the bishop can't take due to the checkmate. This is just total carnage. But once again, f4 is the main plan, with the idea of check, and then mate. Bishop f5 was played. Now, obviously, queen h6 check no longer works because of queen g7, hence queen h4. Now the rook can be guarded. It has to go, but if it does go, d7 drops. So this is all over Red Rover. So Duda thought, okay, fine, it's time to give some material back and hope to survive this. Except that now comes the beautiful coup de grace, the icing on the cake. Knight f4. And Boomski again with an absolutely sensational fork, picking up all the heavies on the way. Whereas if black opts not to take, then ridiculously enough, knight h5 check is the decisive motive, and I pick off the rook. That's exactly why Duda went queen f7 to cover the h5 square as well. But now a new problem arose, and that was that after the check and the take, now ef5 introduces knight e6 check, followed by mate on d8. I think I've already shown you in this game about 10 different mate motifs. Quite amazing. This is really Shak Mamedyarov in his finest. Check, and after f3 it was time to realize that the white heavy pieces are just too strong, and the game is going to be over very soon. Rook AC1 is still perfect accuracy, by the way, according to the engine. 96 is the threat. Knight f8 was played. And now the devil himself, the engine, says rook here, here, and queen f6 check. Would have been the most accurate with a subsequent checking down the rook. Instead, Mamedyarov played b6, followed by b4. This was also a very clever idea with the concept that if the bishop takes, now we have got queen takes b6 and a marvelous mate in the end. So this sneaky b6 move was really cool too. And of course, if I take back with the bishop, then the bishop has been decoyed from this diagonal. And again, we are celebrating a checkmate once again, owing it to the rooks. Beautiful stuff. Even in the end, I didn't even realize it when I went through the game how clever this b6 move was. And yeah, after take b4, Duda decided to throw in the kitchen sink. And when his only threat got dealt with, he called it a day. But whilst this victory and this awesome game is going to be definitely the pride of Mamedyarov, I think the overall hero of the tournament is most definitely Jan Žižtov Duda, who took out the whole tournament, so congratulations to him. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to conclude my Champions Chess Tour recap videos for now, and we are going to go back to other educational videos in the usual fashion, so stay tuned. I'm going to be back with more, but please don't forget to sub, to like, to comment, and perhaps even to super like, and I will be back very soon. Thanks for watching.